Looking ahead to 2028, these MAGAs are going to have a serious problem on their hands. They're going to have a nominee for president, and it will not be Donald Trump. And that person is going to be in a nearly impossible situation. They're going to have to try to get elected while also contending with this increasingly demented buffoon who will still be president, assuming that he is still among the living by then. Now, that's probably not an assumption one should make, but for the purposes of this discussion, let's just assume he's still above ground by the time the next presidential election rolls around. So whoever the nominee for the Republican Party is will have to deal with Donald Trump still being president. And the problem is that Donald Trump is almost certainly going to be horribly unpopular. He already is, and that is almost certainly not going to improve. He is likely to be even more unpopular. This country, which overwhelming majorities of the American people believe is headed in the wrong direction, that number is going to be even worse. This economy, this country, in nearly every conceivable way, is heading in the wrong direction. Everybody knows it. Everybody feels it. Donald Trump knows it. I mean, I think, who the hell actually knows what this buffoon believes? He's so insulated from the real world. He lives in a bubble, and he is surrounded by yes men. So who's going to actually tell him the truth about anything? But whether he knows the actual state of things or not, he's lying about it, which is it's not going to help. He's out there lecturing people. Don't tell me about affordability. Okay, you go with that line, Donald. Yell at everyone. Tell them that they're wrong for thinking that the price of groceries are too expensive. Remember, it wasn't that long ago you were running on the price of groceries. I remember you told me, you told us all that right after the election. You sat down with, I believe it was Kristen Welker, and you said, I run for two reasons: immigration and groceries. It's an old-fashioned word. I just heard of it. No one ever uses this word, groceries. I won on groceries. Remember that, Donald? You said the price of groceries were horrible, and that's why you won. Now you're lecturing everybody, even though groceries have gotten more expensive. Now you're yelling at everybody saying that grocery prices are not a problem. It's never been so affordable out there. How dare you complain about the price of groceries? So if you think that's a winning strategy, you keep on doing that. And this is what he's likely to do. He's going to keep digging a hole for himself, and he and the Republican Party are going to be horribly unpopular with the American people. And so this Republican nominee is going to be dealing with that political reality, trying to reframe the election, trying to reframe the issues, trying to set himself up, or her, well, let's be honest, it's not going to be a woman, try to set himself up as someone who is not Donald Trump. Because if they're going to run as a continuation of Donald Trump, they're fucked. All right, it's not going to work. And so they're going to have to try, in order to get elected, they're going to have to try to distance themselves from Donald Trump and even break from the Trump policies to promise a new direction. Otherwise, they have no chance of winning. How the hell are you going to do something like that with this guy still kicking around who demands to have his ass kissed at every friggin' moment? You can't distance yourself from Trump. You're stuck with this guy. And not only are you stuck with him, you are stuck with having to kiss his ass and to say that he's the greatest president who ever lived. You can't criticize a single thing he did. That is the position that whoever the Republican nominee is, or will be, is going to be in. And if that person does not do that during the campaign, then Donald Trump is going to attack the shit out of that person. And what do you think the cult is going to do? You think all the cultists are going to show up and vote for someone who is distancing themselves from their cult leader? Not a chance in hell. On top of that, most presidents in their second term would kind of sort of fade to the background. stay out of the campaign, try to take a back seat in terms of not trying to get all the attention. They want the nominee of their party to do well and to succeed them. Because if you are a second-term president, it's part of your legacy. It's a positive a legacy achievement to have you be succeeded from by a member from your own party. You want history to say, look, this person was so popular that his party retained control of the White House. So most second-term presidents do everything they can to try to help the nominee of their party win the election. Donald Trump ain't going to do that. Now, Donald Trump, just being seen, just opening his fucking mouth isn't going to help the nominee of his party get elected. The only thing that he could do to help his nominee, the party's nominee, get elected is to just go play golf and stay the fuck out of things. Just for the last year of his presidency, just stay out of the public as much as possible, and let the party have a nomination process, go through the primaries, let those people have all the attention, and then let the eventual nominee have all the attention and give them the room to do whatever it is that he thinks he needs to get elected. Let him take whatever positions he thinks he needs to take. Let him frame the issues and the election the way this person needs to frame it to win the votes of the American people. And that is going to require that person to distance themselves from Donald Trump. You think there's a chance in hell Trump's going to let that happen? You think he's just going to go down to Mar-a-Lago and play golf and let the attention go to other people? There ain't a chance in hell of that happening. He is going to be in our faces, and he is going to be an absolute nightmare for whoever the Republican nominee is in 2028. So that person is seriously screwed. And can you imagine how bad this buffoon is going to be in terms of his dementia? You know, all these, whatever it is, whatever these friggin' mental problems that he has are, you know, these personality disorders, the malignant narcissism and so forth. Those things don't get better with age. He's not going to be better 3 years from now in terms of wanting to be the center of attention and being a malignant narcissist and demanding, you know, public displays of ass kissing. It's going to be even more. And I mean, we know already that he's already concerned about his mortality. He's talking about, getting into heaven and that kind of stuff. He's already worried about, you know, his legacy. He's talking about building all these monuments to himself. He wants to name some fucking, some stadium after him. And so he is going to be even more focused, not less, more focused on the attention being on him. And the fact that he will be leaving the scene and he will be stepping out of the spotlight, assuming, you know, for just argument's sake, that he has not, you know, gotten us into World War III and is trying to cancel the election or something like that, which he might be doing. But let's just say it proceeds to a nominee in an election and him leaving the scene. He's going to be even more insistent on attention for himself, not less so. And he's just not psychologically capable of passing the torch. He just isn't. And in those circumstances, given how unpopular this man is sure to be, that Republican nominee, there's not going to be a damn thing that person can do to be perceived by the American people as anything other than 100% not only attached at the hip to Donald Trump, but completely controlled by Donald Trump. And I think everybody is going to believe that whoever succeeds Donald Trump, if the person were to be elected, a Republican, that person would simply be a puppet for Donald Trump. So whoever gets the nomination is not running for an independent term for themselves. They're really running to be Donald Trump's puppet, sort of like Medvedev when he was president of Russia for a while. Everybody knew that, okay, fine, he's president, but really, he is just Putin's puppet. Putin was controlling everything until he could come back. That's what it's going to be like. Now, Trump won't be coming back, but everybody will know that whoever the Republican nominee is, if God forbid that they were elected, they would not be an independent president. Donald Trump would be controlling him. I mean, does anybody doubt that for a second? No. So whoever, like I said, MAGA is going to have a real problem for themselves. But you know what? We warned them. This is what you were setting yourself up for. When you create a monster, eventually the monster destroys you. And we are beginning to enter that period of time now as Donald Trump is a lame duck, as he is increasingly becoming, as we saw with the election results on Tuesday, he is toxic to Republican candidates. He is toxic to them in elections going forward. So we are going to start witnessing what we've been warning them about. The monster is going to start destroying them. He's been destroying them all along. They just are too stupid to realize it. But now it's going to become apparent, and they are really screwed. And I'm here for it.